Hi, welcome to episode 402 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop where I sell my handspun yarns, and that is called the Corner of Knit and Tea as well. Hi, how are you? I hope that you're doing well. It is Monday, December 5th. We are in the last month of the year, and I can hardly believe it. The year has flown by, and I am starting to take stock of everything that I've done this year and everything I want to do for next year. And work is actually a little bit duller of a roar this week, which is nice. I'm just kind of enjoying the head into the end of the year. I know the end of the year ends up being a hard time for a lot of people, and actually even sometimes me as well. But I do appreciate the chance to kind of try and wrap up things that I've been putting off and finish some things out and start the slate clean for a new year as best I can. So I hope that you are doing well. I have had lots of crafty progress this week. Unfortunately, not quite on everything that I wanted, but I will talk about that. I do have a finished object, and I have some other things to share with you. And I am starting on my whips and my books, and kind of getting towards the end of the year, and like I said, finishing things out. So let's talk about tea. I also happen to be cleaning out tea. This is the third week in a row I have finished off some tea that was in my stash. I have so much tea in my stash, I probably haven't even bought any in at least 6 months. I went crazy for a long time buying tons of new teas to try and review for the blog, and so I have so much now, and I know that tea is freshest within the first few months, but I also feel like if I don't open the bag too often, it will last a little bit longer. Anyway, I bought these from Bird and Blend. It might have been 2 Christmases ago. It might have been last Christmas, but I think it's more like 2 Christmases ago. This is Bonfire Toffee, which is a smoky black tea with caramel and apple. It's a Sri Lankan black tea, cinnamon, air-dried apple, lapsang souchong black tea, and safflower. So that is what it looks like. It came from Bird and Blend. I don't know if they still have it. If they do, I will link it in the show notes. If not, they have plenty of other delightful teas, but I think I ordered this 2 years ago at Christmas time. And I am drinking that today in my sunflower mug from Jenny the Potter, which I got a couple years ago. I do love this mug. I love all of Jenny the Potter's mugs. I have another one from Maryland Sheep and Wool when I got to go see her one year, and I love all of her mugs, but this one holds a special place in my heart because Kansas is the sunflower state, so I thought it was oddly appropriate. And not that I absolutely identify as a Kansan, because technically I think I still think of myself as a California girl. I was born and raised in California, but sunflowers are fun, and you see them everywhere around here, particularly in the summer. So that is what I am drinking my tea in today. And that is really nice. It is very smoky, so you have to like smoky teas. And I do in limited amounts, but it just is a real good kind of bonfire toffee. Just makes it sound like fall and caramel apples and everything. And so I thought that would be a good one today. And like I said, I'm really, really happy because I used it up. So now I can toss that one and figure out what else is in my stash. So let's talk about the knits this week. I actually finished a huge knit, and I'm so excited to share it with you. I still have not clipped all of my ends. All of them are woven in, but I still have not finished clipping them because I left the tails in there while I blocked it, because I knew particularly lace would and this particular project would block out quite a bit, and it did. Here is the finished snow mantra shawl. It's just stunning. And I really, really loved this project. It was a little bit of a slog to knit, but overall, I think it is so worth it. So this is the Snow Mantra Shawl by Svetlana Gordon, and I knit it as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden. I used their Serenity Silk Plus base. No. Yeah, I used their Serenity. Wait, I have the bag, and I should have the tags here. I hope. I used their Serenity Silk. Yeah, it's their Serenity Silk Plus base. No, that's a different tag. Let's see what I got here. I don't see them in here. I thought they were in here. Oh goodness, I'll have to check again. It is their Serenity Silk Plus base, which is a merino silk, and I think merino cashmere silk, and it is a heavy lace weight, light fingering weight. It is 500 yards to 100 grams. And I used it in the natural colorway, this kind of bubblegummy pink that you see here. And then I used it also in a slightly different put up with one of their Luxe blanks, which is 750 yards and 150 grams. Same weight yarn, just a slightly different put up in a gradient. And I believe it was a new gradient colorway because I don't recognize it from their other gradients. It had some pink in it and some kind of dusty autumn colors. And so it went from kind of a tealy green through a more springy green, through all of those autumny colors, and then all the way through back to a springy green and a teal. And the reason I didn't get quite as much done on some of my other knitting projects is because you remember last week I told you I thought I only had one repeat left. There was enough for two. So, and at that point my stitches were 700. I had 700 and plus stitches across the row. So it just took forever. This is a fun shawl. It is not terribly difficult. It is a kind of long process and it gets longer and longer as you go on. So basically the elements are increases and decreases, a very simple short row section, which is just kind of one row across the pattern, and then a whole bunch of I-cords. And with your increases and decreases, you kind of shape these wavy patterns and then you accentuate them with the I-cords. And like I said, there's a little bit of short rowing in there just to kind of bring the colors together across. And so it ends up at a huge stitch count because you are just setting up all these stitches to make all these ripples. So it is a lovely pattern. Once I got past the first couple sections, I knew exactly what I was doing. It was just a question of doing it all. And all I need to do is trim the ends, and then this one is going to go off to the photographer. So I am thrilled with this. It is lovely. I don't know whether I'll knit it again, but it was definitely worth it for the first time. And kits will be available likely in January for this one. Again, the Snow Mantra shawl by Svetlana Gordon. I knitted as written. I used, I believe, a US 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter needle, which I believe is what the pattern called for. And yeah, I think that's about it. I do need to trim all my ends and then send it off to the photographer. But that is finished and I'm so thrilled with it. It came out beautifully. So that is a big project off my needles, which means I got to work on some of the other things that I wanted to work on. So I will show you, I made just a little bit of progress on my hat this week. This is the Rachis or Raucous hat by Woolly Wormhead. I really should figure out how to pronounce that. And I am using a skein of MCS merino cashmere silk from I guess it's merino silk cashmere based on the orders of things because it has slightly more silk than it does cashmere. This is a yarn from LL Yarn Co., which I should disclose is one of my clients, although I paid for this skein of yarn, and I'm knitting the hat completely on my own, so that does not affect my review of it. It is very squishy and soft, and I love the way it's knitting up. It is a variegated colorway. This one is called Under the Sea, and so it's primarily teals and kind of a coral pink, but it also has speckles of other things throughout. I don't know if you can see, there's like just a little bit of almost a little orange in there, and there are a few, I think the orange is mostly, you can see little bits of it in the blue here. While it pooled a little bit in my brim when I was doing my twisted rib, once I got into sort of the chevron pattern, it is no longer pooling, so I'm getting really, really nice variegation. And the pattern itself, what made me think to use this yarn for this particular hat is that the photos in the pattern itself are with a variegated skein of yarn, and so I thought it would look nice and it would not detract too much from the pattern. And I think the lines that I've created with the yarn over and I think it's a slip to knit past slip stitch over SK2P, those create some strong lines that sort of set out the pattern, and so then you don't have to worry too much about the variegated kind of losing it in there. Anyway, I will continue to work on this week. This is not my primary focus, but it is something that's good for a little roundy because it's a 2-row pattern until I get to the crown, and I am excited to have this one. I am going to head over to my local yarn store at some point in the next week or two and see if I can find a pom-pom, maybe in this coral pinky color, but some kind of pom-pom for the top of it, and I think it will be a little slouchy and it's going to be super fun. So yeah, so that is what I'm working on there. And then I did go back to a whip, and I'm going to show this to you. Really, this is like one of those boring things that it's not boring for me. I enjoy the knit. I'm going to enjoy the finished object. I think it is going to be a little boring for you to watch because I don't know how much you need to see my progress on it or how visible the progress is going to be. So this is the honeycomb blanket by Stephen West, who is West Knits. This was part of a Zen Yarn Garden knit along that happened throughout this year, although it started last fall and finished in the spring. And I did not finish mine in time, and so I have picked it back up and identified it as something that I want to finish by the end of the year. I had hoped to make more progress on this one this week, but when I ended up doing an extra repeat on the shawl, it just delayed the days before I got back to this. So my update this week is very tiny, which is last week when I showed this to you, I had just finished the yellow, or I had left off after the yellow. So I did the blue, the might have been the orange. I can't remember. I was either at orange or yellow, and so I've done either 3 or 4 sections this week. So, like I said, not very exciting because, first of all the blanket looks the same, so you're not really going to be able to tell. But I have added a few more sections to it, and this week this is going to be one of my 2 primary focuses. So I'm really hoping to make good progress on this. I can do 2 or 3 new colored sections nightly, and I can't remember. I think the pattern, I cannot remember how many sections the pattern is written to have. I think I'm getting towards the end, but I might actually have enough yarn to go 1 pattern repeat beyond what the pattern says, and I will continue to go until I basically am out of yarn. And I'm sure I'm not sure which one I will run out of first, whether it will be my contrast color or, my main color or my contrast color, but I am going to keep going until basically I can't repeat the pattern anymore. I don't know for sure if I'm going to consider like full pattern repeats. Basically, I started on the hot pink, so I don't know if I will finish on the, finish on the blue, or if I will continue and finish on the hot pink. I suppose that depends on what yardage I have left, but I'm basically going to keep going until I can't repeat this anymore. So I will keep the colors in order because I'm doing them in the same order each time. But as I said, I will be going until I run out of yarn. So my guess is I have 2 or 3 more full repeats in this, but I can't, like I said, I can't remember what it was written for, and I can't tell based on my yarn yet exactly where I'm going to be. Technically I have 2 more cakes of my main color, and I have quite a bit. I think this could go on for quite a while, although I suppose maybe at some point I will stop it because it could get really long and narrow, and that would just be weird looking. So I guess I have to take a look at the pattern and see what it says. I want to say it said 7 or 8 repeats, and don't trust me on this because I don't know. I can't remember exactly how many repeats it suggested, so I'll probably work towards that and then see where I'm at and see if I want to add anything else. But this one I hope to have finished in the next 2 weeks. I know I won't finish it this week. I might be able to finish it in 2 weeks. If nothing else, I want to finish it by the end of the month. So that is on my projects. So, and I won't be casting on very much this month because I really would like to finish some things. I am on track to finish this. I would love to finish this one. I have a couple other things that I showed you that I would like to finish. At least one of those I would like to finish the gnome that I started earlier this year. Also because I signed up for the Christmas gnome and I haven't started, or I should say there's an Advent gnome mystery. We get a clue every day throughout December, and some of the clues are like story parts and recipes and other things. But basically it's an email. It's a delightful email missive every day from Sarah Shearer, who is Imagine Landscapes, who does all the gnomes, and I admit I cannot tell you what this one is called. The names are kind of arbitrary, and so I never actually remember. But I want to start that one, and I had a brilliant idea about what yarn I want to use for it, which I need to dig through my stash bins for, so hold tight on that one. But I would really like to finish the previous gnome knit along from this fall, and so that is also kind of in my whips basket to be gotten to anytime I have some downtime and have finished things. So the other thing that I'm working on this week, and this ends up being kind of a priority because it's, at least right now, it is a, I alternate between knits for myself and sample knits and other things, and I don't actually have any sample knits right now, but I do have a chicken. I knit pieces of artistic chickens for the City Girl Farm. I have put a link to them in my show notes before, and I will do it again here. I do spin for them occasionally, although most of the time I am knitting with hand spun that is not mine, but I thought the colors on this one were super interesting, so I decided to bring it and show you, and I have started a brand new chicken in this. So this is black and white, and then it's got kind of this honey / caramel colorway in it, which I thought was really pretty, and I took to calling this one s'mores. Obviously the marshmallows would be fairly burned with all the black that is in this. I guess it would need a little bit more caramel, but I am calling this the s'mores chicken, and so it was amusing me, and I thought you'd like to see. This is the other thing that I work on for a little bit each night. So this week I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to work on the blanket, and then if I have any time where I need something roundy, I will work on the hat, and those are kind of the three focus projects for this week. So let me get quickly, I just have a very short note on spinning, and then one small administrative piece, and then I will let you get back to your crafting. So I decided to start another spin this week, and it is the thorn apple that I got on Corriedale. This will actually be for my shop, and so I finished the first bobbin, and this looks like a very muted rainbow to me. It's got kind of some gold and swampy green and blues and purples, and then a little bit of like kind of a magenta, not a magenta, kind of like a burgundy in there. Speaking of which, did you see the Pantone color of the year is magenta? I'm very excited about that. Anyway, this is the first bobbin, and I am halfway through the second bobbin, so my hope is that by the time I come to you next week, I will have a finished spin to share with you. So, that brings me to a very brief administrative note. I am still waiting for the winner of the 400th episode giveaway to contact me, D. Parker. I'm going to leave you a note on YouTube today. I will respond to your comment, but please get in touch with me. If I do not hear from you by the time I record next, which will be Monday, December 11th, I will go ahead and select another winner. So please do get in touch with me. I would love to get you a custom spin or a hand spun skein of yarn or a gift certificate as your prize. So thank you for joining me today. I know I just raced through this podcast episode. You'll probably have to slow it down by a little bit. But I have a few other things I would like to get done this afternoon, and so I am, as my mom used to say, I'm tap dancing as fast as I can. I hope that you have a lovely week ahead, that this month is not super stressful for you. I hope that if you have created gifts for the holidays that you are basically done with that, and so that you can just relax into some crafting for yourself. I wish you many, I was going to say many happy returns, which is just silly. I don't even know why I would say that. I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and until I see you again, I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.